Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we have a little bit of infrastructure work to do, apparently. Let's hop into the mission control and take a look at what these requirements are. So we need a vehicle with a probe core to orbit Kerbal at an altitude of 2863 kilometers. So this is just a geostationary orbit, right? They call it geostationary, but this isn't Earth. This is Kerbal, so it's geostationary. So then we need to orbit Kerbal with a Methalox fuel tank, an X-264, and a docking port. So this is a fuel station. Great, we can actually combine the both of them together. You know, we could just use our ComSat for this. We'd have to put a docking port on it, but that's probably okay. Let's head to the VAB here, and let's think about what that would look like. So if we were to open up our ComSat here, we've already got the... this is not an X200, is it? I think we'd have to overwrite this a bit. So we don't have an existing vehicle save. There's no vehicle there. Oh, we're saving it. Hang on. We need to open it, not save it. That would help, definitely. So we're going to open the ComSat, and this is not an X232. This is an FLT400. So we would need to definitely make some alterations to this. That's for sure. So first things first, I'm going to take this fairing off, and I'm going to take this decoupler off. This would work for part of it, but what would be the point in including all of this, right? So that's fine. Let's detach this guy. We would have our probe core. We would probably want this to be extendable solar panels instead. So something like these. These are not retractable, and that's absolutely fine. We don't need them to be retractable. We should probably have some amount of battery power on this in case we need to do operations on the dark side. So that would be fine. We would then just put in a like Z200 here. That would be absolutely A-okay. And I think having these be the 1x6 solar arrays is fine here. So at this point, we would need something like an adapter. So that would be this guy. That's already too big. Okay. Noted. So in that case, do we want to just immediately jump this up to 2.5 meter? If we do that, we could move these solar panels to be up over here. Something kind of like this. And then we would immediately jump this up to be 2.5 meter. This would need to be an X232, I believe. So you can see that's kind of hilariously large. No doubt about that. So, do we want to change around the way that this is done? Potentially. So do we should have docking ports, right? Yeah, we do. We've got the Clampatron docking port. So that is fine. We could put this on the side. That is an option. This thing is going to have a very hard time turning with the reaction wheel in here. Almost certainly. So a reaction wheel on this would be good. So that would be under... I don't think it's under command and control. It should be under something along the lines of attitude control. I know we have a reaction wheel. Let's just search. Okay, so with a reaction wheel here, it's under stabilizers. I guess that makes sense. What category is that under? Utility? It's under utility. Okay, that's fine. So this is a 2.5 meter reaction wheel here. We can just slap that in like on the top, which is exactly what I'm planning on doing. I'm thinking about changing up how this is done though. So in terms of probe cores, what do we have available? We've got the Hex 2. And that's probably a better probe core for us for this purpose. So we would ditch this. Well, the battery can actually remain where it's at. Yeah, these are radially attached. So that seems reasonably fine. Let's ditch this. This guy becomes the new root part. And then that's going to go like that. Cool. Now, I'm going to have our solar panels be on here about like this. I mean, it's kind of awkward on the Hex. Maybe because it's Hex and we don't actually care about cost, maybe we should go for 6x symmetry. That could work. Why not? And we'll put a battery on here and we'll put our... That's 2 batteries. Okay, I don't want 2 batteries. Let's get rid of that. We already had a battery on there. Noted. So that's fine. We can do something like this. Now, as far as our docking goes, do we want our docking ports to be side located like this? In KSP1, it really didn't matter. So it was completely fine. We can do like 4 docking ports like so. And then we can put a 5th docking port on the back here, which is actually what I'm planning on doing. So a 5th docking port would go there. Then I'm going to duplicate that, like so, and we're going to put a small fuel tank here. This is going to be like an X216, something like that. Fuel crossfeed is not going to... Well, fuel crossfeed is actually enabled right now. I'm going to disable that. I don't want fuel to crossfeed through here. So that's fine, and we're going to put a poodle on here. Now we need to lift this thing, right? I keep forgetting that that's zoom, and we need to do this to scroll. A little awkward, but whatever. So that's fine. We would need a 2.5 meter decoupler here. So that would be this guy. Well, yeah, this is stacked decoupler. That'll be fine. We would want to definitely strengthen this joint. That joint would almost certainly have issues on ascent, so we can do that. We'll bring this up to quad symmetry and put you there and approximately there. So that should be a much stronger joint in theory. Do we need a fairing on this? It probably would be wise to put in a fairing about here. And that is not under aerodynamics. Okay. We're going to do... This is a 1.25 meter fairing? Okay. In that case, I'm going to skip it. I think we should be okay to skip the fairing here. So this would be what we would use to get ourselves into our proper orbit, right? And then we can detach this guy once we're ready to do so. So that seems fine, and this is very expandable. So completely okay in that regard. We need to have a probe core on here. I want to have an antenna on here as well. Ideally one that can operate... Maybe we even want to put in... This is a RA2? No, RA2 is, I think, the best that we've got right now. So, max range of 36G. 86G for this guy. Okay, let's upgrade this. So we're going to go for the RA15. We might have some ascent issues with the RA15. That is theoretically possible, but we'll see. If we do have ascent issues, we can definitely make some alterations, put it in a fairing, something. Our fairings are not ideally sized at this point. So we need to put in our lifting, our core lifting capacity here for our first stage. That is, of course, going to be something like 2.5 meter engine or 2.5 meter tanks with a mainsail. The question is, what is that going to look like in terms of thrust to weight, right? So let's take a quick peek here. This is going to be in atmosphere. 1.3 thrust to weight. Okay, we can definitely work with that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put some sort of assist boosters on here. Honestly, solid rocket motors is probably the way to go here. So we would put something like TT-38Xs. I'm going to do 2X symmetry. We'll put them about here, and that would mean something like kickbacks, or... yeah, kickbacks would be the way to go. So that would be about here. Yep, that's about right. So that's fine. We would then need aerodynamic nose cones on top of them, like so. I'd like to move them down just a smidge, so about here or so. And that thrust to weight would put us at 1.92. Solid. I like it. That'll be really, really good. We, of course, need to strut these on. So we'll strut them at the top here. We want this to remain very rigid. And I'm going to strut them at the bottom as well. So something along the lines of this would be what we'd be launching. Main concern here is, A, we could theoretically have a tumble. That is definitely a theoretical concern. B, the next concern would be this antenna breaking on ascent. And I guess we could just test that. What could possibly go wrong? This is not exactly a ComSat. I'm going to call this the Fuel Station Core. And we can save that guy in a new workspace. Fuel Station Core. And we'll save that. Okay, so this is fundamentally a new craft, right? It's definitely not actually a comsat. There's not a single part shared with the comsat, actually, now that I think about it. No, wait, I'm wrong. There is. There is this Z200 battery. That's the only part. Okay, let's put this out on the pad and see how that ascent goes. Once we're in space, this should be absolutely fine in theory. Just double checking. Yeah, we've got that reaction wheel there. So that looks good. Once we're in space, this should be fine. Ascent is the only area I'm even marginally concerned about. Let's see how this goes. Apparently we're having a countdown. Let's skip. And off we go. We want to ascend up through the atmosphere quite aggressively here, I feel like. We need a very high apoapsis anyway for our mission. So I think this is reasonably okay, all things considered. Yeah, let's just make our way up, straight up for quite a distance here. We're about 5 kilometers up right now in our apoapsis, and I want to target that quite high, like 30 or 40. Would, I think, be ideal. So that's going to be probably burning off our SRBs in their entirety before we even go sideways at all. That's likely what we're going to be looking at here. We need to get very, very high. So 30 right now. We can start heading over ever so slightly, but I want to be cautious with that. We're about to lose our SRBs. There we go. And now we can start gently heading over. We can see there's some overheat problems here. This is why I wanted to punch through the atmosphere as quickly as possible. So we're just heading over to the sideways horizontal marker here. There's not really a marker there, but something like here. That was, I think, fairly optimal considering our lack of fairing for an ascent profile. We did see a heat gauge, but it didn't actually go all that badly. So what are we going to be targeting here for our actual apoapsis? Well, we need a lot of additional horizontal DV. Let's just target it at about 100 for the moment, and we'll maneuver from there. So that's about 100. We are still going to have a little bit of drag, but it's not too bad. So once we arrive at the apoapsis, we're going to need a lot of horizontal speed, right? Cannot change maneuver, no fuel. What? It thinks that we don't have fuel in this stage. That's not true. We absolutely do have fuel. But okay. Sure. I wish we could override that. But okay. I guess we're just going to be stuck here. Let's align to that node. We're not actually stuck here. It's going to be very strange, but it's fine. We are in atmosphere right now, or out of atmosphere right now, so let's extend out our solar panels. There they go. Fantastic. And we're going to commence this burn shortly. It's going to be a fairly long burn, I feel like. So we're going to need to start this burn. I'm going to start it at like T-minus 1 minute from the periapsis. So about now. We're going to burn the remaining fuel off of here. And yeah, see, we've got fuel. I don't know why it was so confused about this. I guess we'll just burn here for the moment, because we need to get quite a lot of horizontal speed here. And I'm going to be pulling fuel from here manually, because we've got plenty of fuel here. I guess for the time being, we could just allow crossfeed. That's fine. And then we can, like, move fuel as necessary. So that'll be okay. We can see time to apoapsis is currently going down, which is expected. That is absolutely expected. We're going to need to accelerate another roughly 500 meters per second or so. But we've got about 30 seconds until we get to the apoapsis, and then about another minute of reasonable efficiency after that. So we should absolutely be fine on that front. I mean, we're already moving at 1900 meters per second. It's not all that much more that we need. So that's looking good. I don't know why the game thought that we didn't have fuel in this stage. We clearly did. But whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't need maneuver nodes anyway. Let's just lock to prograde and we'll call it good. Already up over 2 kilometers per second, almost to 2.1, and this is looking absolutely fine here. We are currently still traveling towards the apoapsis. Actually, time to apoapsis is increasing. That's a really good sign. Technically, I think that means we burned slightly early. We're now officially in orbit. I'm going to call this good enough. So we have achieved a reward. Let's hop over to mission control real quick and see what that is. Are there fuel stations in space? Right, so this is just get this into orbit. We did technically complete that. For some reason, well, we're going to do the geostationary orbit as well. So 2863 kilometers, and presumably that has to be circularized at 2863. But we can definitely get this. I'm not concerned about what this guy has to say in these secondary missions. It's fine. So we're going to hop back to the tracking station, and of course we are going to grab our fuel station core, and we're going to control that. This is now in orbit, and we need to bring that orbit up. Actually, hang on. I need to check this. 2863? 2863. Okay. So how do we, like, exit here without going back to the tracking station? It feels like there should be a way to do that, but I don't think there is. So we'll just get rid of this debris. We'll get rid of this debris as well. Might as well clean that up. And let's fly our probe core. So 2863. It doesn't really matter when we burn this. We don't have to be over a particular patch when we enter geostationary orbit, so that seems fine. So what is this at? Okay. We're just going to bring this up to 2863. We're probably going to have to make some alterations for this. This is a pretty accurate target that we have to hit. So we're just going to bring this guy up to be about... It's a little too high. I'm going to put it at 2862 for now because it'll probably raise a bit as we're raising our periapsis. Actually, maybe we should put it slightly lower than that. So 2855. We'll have to make some corrections on orbits as we go around, but that's okay. So let's lock to that maneuver node. We're turning quite quickly, actually. That reaction wheel is clearly very effective. Okay, and let's warp on forward. It's very dark right now, but we should be coming around relatively soon to a sunlit period. But we're not there quite yet. Okay, so 20 seconds. 10. And... mark. Excellent. So we are pushing ourselves on up here. It's going to cost 654 Delta V to put ourselves at this apoapsis. So that looks good. Although, to be honest, I kind of feel like the terminology, instead of being apoapsis, should be like apocurb when you're around Kerbin. So that it kind of apes, like, apogee. That'd be cool. I would like that. Maybe I'm alone in that one, but maybe I should start referring to it as apocurb and paracurb. I like the terminology. So this burn is going to be done in about 25 seconds here. We're just keeping a close eye on it. We don't really want to overshoot it, so I'm going to pin this guy open. We're targeting that, like, 2856-ish. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm not actually sure how much tolerance the game has here. It might have some. But we're going to try to target it as close as we can, for sure. Even if we get it, we might change things around a bit. So right about there, 2854, I guess 2859, that'll work. I tried to bring it up a little bit, but that's fine. So next up, we need to go to the apoapsis, and we need to do a prograde burn and circularize this. So that is going to be somewhere around here or so. That would put us at 2862. And 2856. That's not exactly where we want it to be for either of them, and we'll probably adjust both. I don't know how much tolerance the game has. This might count. It's pretty close. But it's not... It may not be close enough, and that's fine. We don't necessarily need it to be close enough. So let's Well, we do need it to be close enough, but I'm not going to be satisfied with this if this is close enough according to the game. So let's warp our way up, and we are going to do a burn here. So there you can see Kerbal way down there. Excellent. And we're going to start this burn shortly. So I want the apoapsis pinned open here. We want 2863 here, and I'm going to burn slightly over in order to get that, if we can. We've got about 20 seconds until this burn starts. Let's warp forward a little bit. 10 seconds. And 2, 1, mark. We are burning. Fantastic. So we're keeping an eye on this apoapsis. We want the apoapsis to be at 2863 here, is the ideal scenario. We'll see if that works. So far, it hasn't changed, but we don't expect it to start to change until the very, very end of this burn. So we're just bringing that up nicely. Almost there. Okay. Science reward is available. I don't like it. So that's 2863 there. We are not going to grab that science reward because I am not content with 2857. 2857 is not good enough. Hang on. Stop warping. Stop warping. I wanted to get rid of this maneuver because we want to create a new maneuver at the apoapsis here. I wish there was a way to create one that was snapped to the apoapsis. That would be nice, but alas, I don't believe that there is such a way. Also, I just did this wrong. So we're going to do it again. We're going to create a maneuver plan here. This is going to be a very, very tiny prograde maneuver. And we need this apoapsis available. Or rather, the periapsis here needs to be available. This is not actually telling us what it's going to be. Yeah, I need it out here. There we go. So we're going to have to bring that back. 2863 is the target, right? So we need to put that right about here. That looks correct. So that is a 0 delta V burn. Okay, let's thrust limit this guy if we can. Okay. Let's put it at like 1% thrust. We need the periapsis pinned open. And we're going to head on over. Because we need very little thrust for this. So, that's going to be in about 40 seconds. To be honest, right now is probably a fine time to burn, but I'll wait. 30, 20, 10. Okay, I'm going to start this burn right about now. Why is this going down? Because we're not aligned to the node. Okay, I'm dumb. I forgot to do that. That's my own fault. 100% that is my own fault. Okay. 58, 59, 60. Yeah, I messed it up. Okay. We're going to have to change this. I'm not happy with it, so we're going to have to change it. Right up over here, we're going to do a retrograde burn. We have to pull this back. Specifically, we have to pull it back. Get rid of this guy. Pull it back far enough where we get an actual periapsis and then fix it. That is a little fiddly and irritating. I don't love that mechanic, but whatever. So we're targeting for 2863 here. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I guess we should just hop over here, go retrograde, time warp to point, and do it without maneuvers. That might be the best way to do it, to be honest. So we're going to pull this back to 2863, and it doesn't need much at all. There we go. The periapsis is at 2862. So I want to now warp to here, and we're going to be prograde. Okay, and we're just going to bring that up There we go. Both are at 2863. That's what we're targeting. Easier without maneuvers, honestly, at this point. So that is fine. Now I'm content with actually grabbing this successful mission. Fantastic. An orbital speed of 1010 just comes with the altitude. So that is absolutely fine. Cool. Thanks, science. So we now have 1826, and that is a lot, but we need to figure out what our next move is, right? For the time being, this is reasonably fine. I mean, land a vessel on Minmus with a current mass of over 200 tons. That's a big one. No doubt about that. That'll be probably our base. But for now, we need to start working, I think, on our base infrastructure on Moon. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to begin working on that base infrastructure and what it even means to put a base on or around a location. And I'm not going to use or there. It will be an and, for the record. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.